Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining Augstsprieguma tīkls, also called AST Investor Webinar. We will start with company's presentation and continue with a live Q&A session. To join the discussion, please submit your questions through the Q&A window below the presentation. This session is being recorded and will be available for rewatch shortly after the call. Let me now introduce you to our hosts, Rolands Irklis, the chairman of the board, and Gatis Junhans, the member of the board. I'm now passing it over to the presenters.
Thank you. Hello, everybody, participants of this webinar. So today we will present our half-year, 6-month period report on our financial results, but not only on that, also about other activities and milestones which we achieved during this period. So, as it was introduced, so my name is Rolands Irklis, I'm the chairman of the management board, and I will be supported today with Gatis Junhans, which is a member of the management board. Shortly about the company, so we are a fully state-owned company owned by Ministry of Climate and Energy for Republic of Latvia. We are also a fully regulated company, regulated by Public Utilities Commission, which means that our profitability or our return on capital is regulated, and currently our weighted average cost of capital, according to regulator's decision, is 2.72%. And it is allocated to the regulatory asset base, which is 432.7 million euros. We also have a long-term credit rating from Standard & Poor's, which is A- minus currently. And we also have a sustainability index from last year, which is Gold Award, and we are currently awaiting the results for this year's sustainability index. We also have green bonds emitted on 2021 with maturity of 2027 in a total amount of 100 million euros. We have long transmission lines, more than 5,000 kilometers long, 141 substations, and during the first half of this year, we transmitted electricity to end users in the total volume of 3,000 gigawatt hours. We are also shareholder of two companies, which one is the Baltic Regional Coordination Center, which is a company owned by 3 Baltic transmission system operators with the main task to ensure the security and plant stability for our region. And we are also majority shareholder of Connexus Baltic Grid. So we own 68.46% of total shares of Connexus Baltic Grid, which is Latvian gas transmission and storage operator. Until August this year, also Connexus had Standard & Poor's credit rating, BB+. But it's not prolonged currently because Connexus has very good liquidity ratios, and they also are not in the necessity of additional borrowed capital. Regarding the Connexus, so the main characteristics of this company is 2.3 billion cubic meter storage, gas storage in inch accounts, which serves not only the Latvian market, but all the regional market, including Estonia, Lithuania, Finland, and if necessary, also Poland. And this Connexus Baltic Grid has transmission lines over 1,000 kilometer length, and in the first half of this year, the transmitted volumes of the gas was 12.9 terawatt hours, which is not only for Latvian consumers, but for the whole region. For AST, the main priorities for this year are coming out from our strategy. Our strategy period is from 2021 up to 2025. And the main priorities are safe electricity grid operations. And here the main activities under this priority is synchronization with continental Europe, readiness to emergency situations, and improved cybersecurity. There is priorities regarding the green transformation, where our activities is connections for new onshore and offshore renewable electricity generators, and also investments in our network, so in more sustainable technologies, for example, in green substations. Our priority is also digital transformation. We try to improve processes, make it the more digital, so more effective and more efficient. And in operations, we integrate more and more IT technologies. And also our priority is employee engagement and development, so improving the skills, experience in changing environment and digital proficiency of our employees. So during the first half of the year, the main achievements, what we have achieved so far. In a couple of months ago, we notified our Russian and Belarusian counterparts, TSOs in those countries, about disconnection from electricity grid in February 2025. So this is related to the synchronization of continental Europe. In the first half of the year, we developed and submitted to Public Utilities Commission approval for approval of the electricity transmission network development plan for the period from 2025 to period of 2034. So this is annual activity which we have to do each year. So this plan is updated every year. We are submitting this in the first half of the year. Currently, it's evaluated by the Public Utilities Commission. So we are waiting their approval. We have changes in regulatory framework that allows application of reduced tariff for new users to the transmission system. This is our own initiative. In the beginning of this year, we asked Ministry of Climate and Energy for this type of changes in the law, and we got the support from the ministry and later support also from the parliament. So the idea is that for the new big consumers which connects to our network, we can give the tariff discount for the next 5 years. And in this sense, they can get back at least partly their investments, what they made in this connection to the transmission network. Because the connection to the transmission network is quite costly, and we are interested to attract new investors to our network, to attract new consumers. And this is one of the solutions how we can make it more attractive for investors to invest in Latvia and to connect to our network. And in the long term, this can reduce the cost for all users, because the more users we help to the network, the more efficient network is used, and therefore, in long term, this is a way how we can reduce the transmission tariff for everybody. And then this year we started, we finished the reconstruction of 330 kilowatt power line Valmiera-Cirgulina. We still are waiting when Estonians will finish their part of Cirgulina-Viru power line, which is connected to this one. Then the first synchronous condenser for the stability of Latvian electric power system has been installed in Grobiņa. And a couple of weeks ago, another synchronous condenser arrived in Ventspils, and it's also installed in Ventspils. Then we are still working on development of Baltic balancing market and integration with EU countries. There is activities together with Estonian and Lithuanian TSOs as well. And we started in the first half of the year construction of dispatch control and data center Jāņsiemas and the construction of the production base. So this is a 3-year project when we plan to reconstruct all this area where we are located, including our offices and headquarters. For Connexus Baltic Grid, the main activities for the first half of the year was injection to the biomethane into the interconnected gas system has begun. So there is a first connection point where biomethane is injected in the transmission network. And there is also started the construction of biomethane injection point in Giuste parish. So this will be the one where companies can transport by trucks the natural gas, compressed natural gas, and then inject it in transmission network. Regarding the sustainability, the projects, so we have ongoing green substation project in Sarnikava. So the equipment supply and construction contracts have been concluded and construction works have started there. We are actively working on projects related to renewable energy. So there is already active construction contracts for new connections for 11 projects. And total capacity through these projects, which we are constructing already, is already more than 1 gigawatt. But of course, there is additional projects which still is in the pipeline where construction is not started yet. But we expect that during this year there will be additional new construction contracts for new connection points. And then we continue to work also to modernization of electricity transmission distribution networks according to our 10-year network development plan. Connexus Baltic Grid started to create common position for the integration of biogas and hydrogen in transmission networks. They also had a study on corridor from Finland through Baltics to continental Europe regarding hydrogen network. And Connexus Baltic Grid also carried out the modernization of gas pumping and storage infrastructure according to their development plans. Regarding big numbers in electricity segment in Latvia, so in the first half of this year, the total transmitted electricity was 3,000 gigawatt hours. Which is slightly more than the year before, but in general, these numbers are very stable through the last 5 years. And electricity generated in Latvia by the type, as we can see, it's also quite stable in the last 3 years. So in the first half of the year, 77% was generated by renewable generation, and only 23% were generated by fossil fuels. The big numbers regarding the gas transportation and storage. So we can see that transported gas volumes reduced in the first half of this year if you compare to the year before and years before. One of the reasons why it decreased comparing to year before is that in the first half of this year, from January till April, there was disconnection in Baltic Connector, which connects Estonia and Finland. So our gas storage physically was not available for Finnish consumers during the first half of this year. So this decrease of the volumes also was influenced by this factor. But if you look on the gas storage as such, so the total volumes at the end of first half of the year was bigger than year before. So it was 14.5 terawatt hours compared to the year before. So regarding the group's financial figures, we see that we have increased revenues both for the company AST and for the group as a whole. We have improved EBITDA numbers as well this year and improved profitability numbers both for the group and for the AST as a company. Increase in the revenues for AST is due to increase in balancing regulatory electricity revenues and changes in electricity transmission tariff. So the tariff was last year in force starting from the second half of the year, so from the 1st of July. And therefore, we see the increase also here in this half of the year because we have tariff which corresponds to our actual costs. In this year, in the half of the year, we used 3.5 million euro congestion revenue to cover the costs and also received 8.2 million euros in dividends from Connexus Baltic Grid. So through this, we achieved EBITDA in the amount of 21 million euro, and our profit in the first half of the year was 12.7 million euros. There was also increased revenue for the group by 21% due to changes also in gas transmission tariff from December 2023 and storage tariff from May 2024. And new tariffs allow to recover cost deviations from a previous period as well, and that results in increased EBITDA and profit for this year. So regarding the capital structure for the AST and the group, so we have slightly increased assets in this half of the year, which is due to completed infrastructure projects. Then we have a stable equity ratio and a stable capital structure, and also stable numbers of borrowings. So for AST, this is already mentioned, 100 million euros green bonds, and also quite stable borrowing ratios for group as such and Connexus Baltic Grid. So then another key financial indicators per different segments of our activities. So we can see there is an increased revenue in electricity transmission, in gas transmission, and in gas storage. So this is related to the new tariffs which we have from the second half of the last year or from the December regarding the gas transmission services. And we also have increased revenue, increased EBITDA, and increased profitability in all segments of our company's activities and the group activities. EBITDA in electricity transmission in the first half of the year was this 21 million euro, which was mentioned before. And EBITDA margin was 27.2%, and for gas transmission, the EBITDA was 12.9 million euros with EBITDA margin 65.5%. And increase also was related to revenue that was received in previous regulatory period has not covered all the costs of the service. So there is a regulatory account. So some part of this cost can be collected from transmission tariffs during the next regulatory period. And EBITDA for gas storage is 24.5 million euros, and EBITDA margin is very high, 80.9%. And during the reporting period, several auctions of Inčukalns capacity were held. Total requested amount of the storage capacity exceeded the available capacity almost 3 times. So these are very good numbers for gas storage services related to high demand for the gas storage, and their actual income is higher than the allowed tariff numbers. And through this gas storage auctions, they have increased revenues and higher EBITDA margins as well. Regarding the capital investments per segment, we can see that the biggest investments in the first half of the year was in electricity transmission services. This is due to big investments regarding the synchronization projects, for example, the synchronous condensators, battery, S projects for our battery storages, and other projects. Also the Valmiera-Cirgulgina line, which were completed in the first half of this year. 7.3 million euros are invested in remodeling and renovations of substations, replacing depreciated equipment and introducing digital solutions that allows wider functionality and remote control to dispatch, central dispatch. And then 11.4 million euros in various other projects, for example, renovation of our headquarters complex Jāņsiems, which includes also technical buildings, and also in future will include our new control center and also our data center here in Jāņsiems. The largest projects in gas transmission segment was 1.5 million euro in pipeline replacement at Izborsk-Inčukalns segment, and 0.7 million euro repairs of sections of pipelines and their anti-corrosion installation, and also 0.7 million euros in development of SCADA transmission control system. And for gas storage, the biggest volume of investments was in reconstruction of wells, compressors, and gas collection point number 3, and installation of new gas collection point. Additional investments were in solar power production plant and development of SCADA for storage control system. If you look on the 10-year network development plan, then you can see that there is very big investments in this year and coming year, which are related to synchronization phase number 1 and number 2. So next year we plan to complete all the synchronization projects, including the 3 synchronous compensators in Ventspils, Grobini, and Līksna, frequency regulation equipment. This is our battery energy storage systems, and additional equipment for technical requirements set by NSOE. This doesn't mean that after 2025 there won't be additional projects to this one, which are mainly the replacement of existing network. We plan also additional investments for year after 2025, but these investments are not so confidently approved yet. For example, new interconnector between Latvia and Estonia, and others which could come after 2025. So this network development plan is updated every year. So here we put those investments which we are confident about, and we already know when and what type of and what amount of costs they will have more specifically. And my final slide before I pass the presentation to Gatis, in the big numbers, our financial ratios and borrowings. So borrowings, as I mentioned, for AST, it's stable 100 million euro green bonds, and for the group, it's 173 million euro. We also have overdraft 10 million euro, but this is not used. We don't need currently to use it. So debt to equity ratio for AST it's 10%, and for the group it's 16%. Equity ratios for AST it's 42%, and for the group 46%. EBITDA margins for AST good 27%, and for the group even better 46%, which is due to the very good results from the gas storage services. Total liquidity for AST is 1.3, and for group 1.1. And fixed rate borrowings. So for AST we have fixed rate for all these green bonds, so 100%, and for the group it's 72%. Connexus also have the overdraft 65 million euros, which is also not used at the moment. And so all financial conditions included in the commitment agreements are fulfilled, and available credit line is to ensure this overdraft is to ensure the company's liquidity. So that's quite shortly from my side about the main achievements and milestones and financial ratios in the first half of this year. And now I pass the presentation to Gatis, which will more detail tell about development plans.
Thank you. Our future efforts and investments are aimed at 3 goals: security of supply, to achieve clean power system, and to build market-oriented power system. And as Rolands already mentioned, our future investments are planned for maintaining our current system, but they are also partially aimed at transforming our transmission system to achieve the mentioned goals. And the main transformation directions are three. It's synchronizing with continental European power system. It is enabling renewable energy integration and transition to clean energy system. And it is also expanding grid offshore to access offshore wind energy potential in the Baltic Sea. Our planned investments in a 10-year period starting from 2025 are 445 million euros. And the essence of our future development plans is distilled in our 10-year network development plan document, which is also accessible on our website. With regards to synchronization project, all the substantial projects are progressing well according to scheduled timelines. In the middle of this year, the last transmission line, high voltage transmission line between Latvia and Lithuania was energized and now in operation. And with this project, we finished our list of 330 kilovolt line, transmission line projects over 500 kilometers. Now we still have to finish projects of synchronous condensers, which is also progressing well. 2 of 3 synchronous condensers has been delivered to substations in Latvia. And also large-scale battery, where we have signed already procurement contract with Rolls-Royce, and construction works are ongoing in substations, and project is going to be finished in the second part of next year. Also important project is frequency control system, which we plan to launch from the beginning of next year. Also contract with GE has been signed and project is well in progress. With regards to transitioning to clean energy system, overall in this year and currently we see strong growth of wind and solar generation in the Baltic system in general. This August, solar and wind generation capacity in the Baltic region reached 5 gigawatts, representing 40% of total generation capacity in the region. The growth will continue. At AST, we have signed today already 12 connection development agreements with wind and solar generation capacity developers, totaling 1.1 gigawatt capacity, which are planned to be commissioned in 2025 or 2026. Transition to renewable production is important. It has important benefits, including security of supply, lower energy costs, and this also facilitates further electrification. Importantly is that despite its volatile nature of wind and generation and solar generation, it can also contribute to power system balancing. And as we are developing our new balancing market, we already are in discussion with wind and solar project developers about involving those assets also in balancing markets. We have issued technical permits for connecting new generation in total amount of 6 gigawatts to AST transmission grid. And we have currently concluded 12 contracts for constructing connection points. And there are more to come during this year. We are also working together with our ministry on enabling additional capacity for connecting up to 4 gigawatts of additional renewable capacity to our grid by means of increasing efficiency of utilizing the current capacity. As technical changes are taking place in power system, also market design needs to change, and AST is a market facilitator, so we are also working on new market model designs in Latvia and in Baltic region together with our neighboring transmission system operators. And here on a slide you can see our near-term goals. In the middle of this year, we introduced additional intraday auctions for electricity, which allow market players and specifically also renewable generation asset operators to better balance their generation portfolio. In October, we plan to join European platform MARI for exchange of balancing energy from manually activated balancing reserves. Also by January next year, AST together with neighboring TSOs plan to join European platform Picasso for exchange of balancing energy from automatically activated reserves. And we are also currently building solution and IT capability for Baltic balancing capacity market, which we plan to launch next February. And also we transition our regional market from 60-minute trading period to 15-minute trading period. And this project also is planned to be finalized by end of Q1 next year. And also brief insight in our longer term future offshore grid initiatives. Baltic Sea offers very high potential for offshore wind generation. And from AST side, we are working in several directions how to develop offshore grid together with our Estonian colleagues, Estonian transmission system operator. We are working on a concept of force interconnection with Estonia. We are also working with our Swedish colleagues, Swedish transmission grid operator, on interconnection between Latvia and Sweden. We are currently running a cost-benefit analysis. And also we are working on a concept for an interconnection with continental Europe, with Germany, where also different concepts and financing options are being discussed. Thank you. That would be all from my side.
Thank you. Let's now turn to questions and answers. A reminder to the participants, should you like to address your question to the management of the company, please use the Q&A box. So we have received 2 questions prior to the call. Let's start with the first one. How did AST navigate the consequences of the strongest summer storm hitting Latvia in July? Will there be any changes to AST procedures, or did they function well?
Generally, I would say everything functioned very well. We had quite challenging night and day, of course, during this storm. We had more than 60 trees in our power lines, and this also led to the consequences that 5 of our substations was not available for some period of time. The good thing is that in 3 or so substations, we were able to get back to the service in less than 3 hours. There was a longer period of repair works in Kemeri, which was very, very heavily affected area. And also one other area where we had substation reconstruction ongoing. But otherwise, I think we managed very good during these very extreme weather conditions. What is the lessons learned? And we already started to communicate with Ministry of Climate and Energy, is that we would like to have wider these protective lines with no trees. This track where the line goes, because currently it's only 13 meters from the center of the line on each side. And our analysis shows from the last 10 years that in 83% of cases, if the tree falls in our lines, it's in the distance between 13 and 18 meters. So if we will expand this protective line by 5 meters, we could reduce the number of accidents by 83%. So this is quite significant. So we'll see how this proposal will go ahead, but we think that this is could be a good step forward to be more ready for this type of extreme weather conditions and less interruptions of the service in these cases.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Very interesting statistics and proposal. The second question is on the challenges and what you have done so far. AST has earlier communicated that some of its challenges are the efficiency of its operations and costs, and modernization of the transmission network and internal processes. What steps have been taken in this direction?
Yes, we have our digital transformation program where it's different sub-programs as well. So we select, prioritize the projects in this field. So we introduce new technologies in different segments. For example, there is one technology so-called TIDA, which is for maintenance segment, so they can more easily collect the data electronically and automatically. And then this data also can be used to analyze, for example, the condition of the network, and also can be good information for the future investments where we have to invest more and where our network is in more critical condition than the other places. So these type of projects we continue to plan and do frequently. And we also measure our digital transformation success by the help of PricewaterhouseCoopers. There is a so-called digital maturity index, and in the last couple of years, we improved quite significantly in this digital maturity index. So this is ongoing work. I think this is a priority for many companies in different sectors, and also for us. So this is continuous improvements which we plan and do all the time.
Thank you. As I don't see any online questions, I'll use a chance and thank participants for spending this hour with us. We're ready to close the call. Thank you. No apologies. Just now received a question from an online participant. So if I'm not mistaken, the isolated operation test is taking place right before the synchronization from Brel. Have you included possible risks and necessary additional maintenance works?
Thank you. I will pass this question to Gatis, because Gatis is leading all the projects related to the synchronization. So.
Yes, indeed. After desynchronizing or disconnecting from Russian unified power system, we plan to make isolated operation test to test Baltic power system frequency control capability including in planned events during this test. And these tests will take place during 2 days, and there are increased measures for security planned for this period, both before test, during the test, and also after test, considering the overall sensitive situation.
Thank you. Once again, as there are no additional questions, participants, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.